This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me today are the Toledo Symphony's principal second violin and artistic administrator, Merwin Siu, and we also have the TSO's marketing director, Felicia Canny. A little bit later in the program today, we are going to welcome the music director, Alain Trudel, who will call in and tell us all about the upcoming season. His first as music director. It is also the 75th anniversary of the TSO, so lots of fun stuff happening next season. We're going to hear all about it. But before we do that, welcome, both of you. Thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here.
And I want to talk about some of the concerts that are coming up this weekend. There are two of them. One of them is part of this Festival of 88 series. And let's start with that. This is you're featuring not one piano concerto, but two piano concertos. And one of them was written for three pianists, but you're doing it with two pianists. It's all very confusing, Merwin. Can you untangle it for us?
Actually, I thought you did a great job.
That's it.
It seemed very, very clear.
We'll see you next week.
We are actually performing Mozart's seventh piano concerto, which he originally wrote for three pianos. I think it was designed for a countess and her two daughters. But then when Mozart felt that for some reason getting three pianists on a stage was maybe less practical, and so he arranged it for two pianos where it actually got significantly more performances. The individual parts get a lot more difficult when you're parsing the same notes between two pianos versus three.
It seems like there's a weird kind of Cinderella parallel going on there with like the wicked stepmother and the two stepsisters and Cinderella playing the piano. Somehow she got lost in the mix.
I know very little about the Countess Lodron and whether or not she was wicked or not. It seems inappropriate to speculate.
We're just making up a story. I don't think that she's going to complain.
This is how rumors get started.
Well,
absolutely.
Our two wicked stepsisters are Michael Boyd and Ryan Bean for this performance, right? Wonderful pianists with connections to this area. Michael Boyd at University of Toledo. Ryan Bean also, I believe, teaches in Columbus.
The Ohio State University, absolutely.
Yeah, but he's from this area.
Absolutely.
And I've had both of them on my program back here playing together, so they have a long history of collaboration, which is nice that they're going to bring this to the stage. Now, this is happening at Lourdes University. It is Saturday afternoon at 2:30. Again, you're doing Mozart in the afternoon. That's something that you're going to really lock into place next season as well. So we'll hear about that when we get there. But the concert's at 2:30 p.m. Also, music of Haydn. We're going to hear one of his lesser-known symphonies, the Passion Symphony, right? And these piano concertos, including that piano concerto number 23, that Michael Boyd is going to play. That's a pretty well-known work.
Yes, we've always tried to, in this festival, pair one of those kind of more popular piano concerti, generally some of Mozart's later piano concerti, and then to pair those with a concerto that we're performing for the first time with the Toledo Symphony. So we've never actually gotten either two or three pianos on stage for the seventh.
Yeah. Exciting. The Festival of 88 continues. And how many more concerts are left in this series?
We actually have just one more in March. William Eddins, the music director laureate of the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra, my hometown, is actually making a return to Toledo, and he'll be playing and conducting the 5th and the 20th concerti.
Okay, great. Well, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, as the time approaches. But there's another concert that I'm really interested in that is happening on Sunday. That's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the Valentine Theater, the Showcase of Young Talent, which seems like a wonderful program. What can you tell us about that?
Well, we're featuring three prize winners from the Toledo Symphony League's Young Artists Competition. Two violinists and a pianist. Actually, one of Michael Boyd's students is performing the finale of the Gershwin Piano Concerto. And it's really a chance just to introduce our audiences to just the breadth of young talent in this area. And we're actually really excited to be featuring a composition. There is a young man named Ross Batdorf who wrote a symphony, and we're doing a scherzo from that symphony.
Wow.
Mr. Batdorf is in our Toledo Symphony Youth Orchestra, and he showed the score of his symphony to Sarah Jobin, and she was very impressed, and we're featuring it here.
Wow. So he just went up to Sarah, Maestro Jobin, and showed her the symphony, and she was like, great, let's do it.
I may have skipped a few steps. That sounds a little more simple than how it happened.
But basically, yes.
I've got a symphony back in my office that I can, bring out. We'll see if it passes muster or not. Okay, well, that concert is Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m., February 11th at the Valentine Theater, the showcase of young talent. And as always, you can find more information about these programs and everything that the Symphony does at ToledoSymphony.com. You can also call up the box office. The number is 419. What's the number again?
419-246-8000. I almost gave my phone number.
It's a test. I think we did this before where we were accidentally almost giving out our phone numbers. 246-8000. Yes. 419-246-8000. Well, we're not going to forget it now. We're going to bring in Maestro Alain Trudel, although I'm not supposed to call him Maestro, but he's not here yet, so it doesn't matter. I can call him Maestro until he calls us up on the phone. And we're going to talk about the 75th anniversary season, so that's coming up next here on Toledo Symphony Lab. So we're back on Toledo Symphony Lab, and we are joined right now by the Toledo Symphony's music director, Alain Trudel, who is on the line with us today. Welcome, Alain.
Hello.
And congratulations on this wonderful new season that's coming out. We're going to preview it today. It's not only the 75th anniversary of Toledo Symphony, but also, of course, your debut season as music director. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I really feel privileged to coming in at this exciting time for the orchestra. I just feel that to come in at a date like that and an anniversary of this kind of important, and also 75. I mean, it shows that there's been tremendous support through many, many decades for the orchestra, and that the orchestra is not only a good musical institution, but it's relevant in its community. And for me, it's a really great celebration. I mean, I'm showing up and there's a party.
It doesn't get much better than that. There's also going to be a party on stage at the Peristyle, I should mention. Your opening concert is happening in September, right? And it's very imaginatively entitled Trudel's Debut.
Yeah, I know. We worked especially hard on this. we put together 5 focus groups.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Not yet.
Oh, no. Already,
Yeah, we don't want to peak too soon, but so tell us a little bit about what's on the concert. You got Beethoven and Tchaikovsky. Well, you know what's on the concert, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into this, I have to tell you that to provide a good symphonic season to our public. It's actually, people might not know this, but we go over the programs many, 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 many times. This is probably the 4th or 5th version of this program, this particular one, because they say, what do you want to play and this, and then you think, oh, you want to put an artist at a certain moment in the season, or you want to put a piece somewhere, but then it's like a meal, it's like, for example, I like dark chocolate very much, but if you make a dark chocolate fondue with a dark chocolate cake with dark chocolate this and that, at a certain point, even if you like it, it's too much, right?
No, that sounds fine to me. In fact, I'm writing it down. If there's anything else
like
you want to add,
menu.
Yeah, we can serve. We can start the whole Trudel cooking in the kitchen with Alain series, and bring the music in with it. What I think is interesting is you're starting with Beethoven Symphony No. 5. So the first notes that you're going to draw out of the symphony as their official music director is that famous fate motif, da-da-da-da. I'm wondering if that says anything about what you have in store for the orchestra.
It says he's very polite. He's knocking at the door.
Yes. Knocking at the door. Yeah.
So, we're thinking of doing a version of the Shostakovich 8-string quartet knocking at the door, but we changed our mind. But, but seriously, one of the things that I want to establish, first of all, is that we do things a little differently, right? We're not going to come in and do like a little overture and then a concerto. Oh, no, we're starting with a symphony. So We're starting with a bang, and we're starting with something that people know, because I always want to do, most of the time, concerts where we get something we really know, something we discovered because it's new, and something we discovered because we didn't know it, or artists we discover. So it's a mix. Again, it goes with. I know I make an analogy with with cooking, but it's really how you build. If you go to a concert, there's different emotions that you go through, and there's different. There's different things that people want in a concert, and they need also. So if you have something that you know that as a concert goer, as a music lover, there's something that you're already familiar with, and then it will make you trust to go in unfamiliar territory a little bit. So during the season, you'll see lots of that. Of course, the first concert doesn't have so much of that, even though it has. But the important thing is we celebrate. We have a celebration. I wanted to do something that was very, very well known. Actually, at the beginning, we had different things on the program, and talking with, because we work as a team. I'm music director, yes, but we really work as a team. So we had this discussion with Zach and with Merwin and, a few of the musicians. I'm thinking, what would establish a distinct style also, because, the way we're going to do Beethoven together might be different than they do Beethoven with somebody else, so that they've been doing Beethoven for a while. And for us, it's a great way to start, like doing a full week of going in depth and what is the core repertoire of an orchestra, core repertoire, Beethoven, Schubert, Mahler, that kind of repertoire, which an orchestra grows and an orchestra becomes, you get to put your own way of playing a signature. That's where it's not completely asepticized that any orchestra sounds the same anywhere in the world. That's something I don't like particularly. So we have to find, we're going to do our own way of doing this. And like we did in Mozart when I came this year, we started a little bit the research on how we're going to do this together, because I have my idea, but the orchestra has, you take the common experience of everybody in the orchestra playing Beethoven Fifth, there will be a few thousand Beethoven Fifths in there.
Right.
So, if I'm coming in with time, I don't know, 50 times I've done Beethoven Fifth, well, it's still, a few thousand short of the general knowledge of my colleagues. So together, we're gonna, we're gonna go towards how we're going to play it. So that's a great way to start. And in the second half, which is we open up the floor, to our different collaborators. So of course we have the ballet in Toledo, and I really want to have some opera singers coming in there. We'll see. We're not there yet, and there's still a few things to iron out about this particular part of the program. So in this first concert, the idea is to serve one of the major works of the repertoire, and then open the floor in the second half to our colleagues, and open the floor to our collaborators, and to set an example as being, a good artistic citizen in our city.
Yeah. I'm looking at what you're calling the Masterworks series, and I notice you've kind of rebranded some of these concert series. Instead of classics, now you have Masterworks. I mean, it's a subtle change, but I'm wondering, did some of that come from you, or are you trying to put your own stamp on these series as it is?
Those came from me. It's just that for me, a classic is, classic in my mind means Mozart and Haydn, because it's a classical period of music. And I just want to make sure that there's no, that I don't have, people coming in and say, well, I came to your classics and you played Mahler, I say, well, no, this is... Of course, it's a classic of our time, but, and also those works are, this is a series where we present more monumental works, like the bigger symphonies and the something that's more spectacular on stage. And the Mozart series, and I really like the fact that, it's in the afternoon, it's a little bit of time that we spend together, and that we play this incredible music. And you probably saw that Mozart has a lot of friends this year.
Yeah. This is what it made me think of when I saw that Mozart in the Afternoon series. I don't know if you know this song or not. This will be the new theme song.
Afternoon, yeah, okay.
Now, see, if Zach were here, I wouldn't have gotten away with this. But since he's not here, we can do whatever we want.
We can do whatever we want.
I don't think he's not going to listen to this, right? So this will be, you can have this playing in the lobby as people come in for Mozart in the afternoon. Little afternoon delight.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll consider it.
Yeah.
You see, where would you guys be without me to, offer up these wonderful artistic choices?
We're going to be humming this all day, and it's going to be your fault.
But let's talk about Mozart in the afternoon just a little bit. These are happening at the Valentine Theater now, so it's a new location for the Mozart concerts, and they're Saturdays at 2:00, and you're doing some interesting stuff, because it should be said that it's not just Mozart. You're putting in a lot of things, a lot of pieces that you would think, gosh, that seems like the complete opposite of Mozart. Shostakovich Piano Concerto No. 1, but the way that you have them integrated in there looks on paper to be very interesting.
Well, again, it's about redoing your work 1,000 times to make sure that you have something that's relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, for example, if we take that program, with the Shostakovich, it's for chamber. It's almost a chamber. It's a chamber orchestra, string orchestra with a trumpet. But the way it's built is also the form is rather classic. And what's interesting about it is that, again, I want to make sure we have something that people know very well. If you take something like a Jupiter Symphony, it's something that people, know that they will come there and say, wow, this will be an event. And I remember something, it's something that Zach likes to say, and it stayed with me a little bit. It's funny how we talk more about him when he's not there. So, but is that we had a survey at some point with the orchestra saying, what is the work that made you come to the concert? And what's the piece that you say, well, I'm coming because they're playing this. And when you leave the concert, what's the piece that made the strongest impression on you in this concert? And very often they're not the same piece.
Yeah. So
that's very interesting to think about while you're programming. So you have something that we know and we all love. I mean, I would never put a piece there because it's just well known. It has to be something that I believe in, that I love. For example, there's one program that has eine kleine Nachtmusik, and a pom pa pom pa 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 pom, and some people say, oh, well, this is just a hook. No, it's actually a really great piece of music, and it's more than 30 seconds at the beginning. It's 18 minutes after that. So,
right.
and it's really great music, and that second movement is to die for.
You could call it, but wait, there's more, right? That'll be the new title of this series next year.
Not just the ringtone.
Yeah, it'll be that, and then we'll have the little Afternoon Delight song. We'll be all set.
Are you going to play after that? More.
How do you like it?
Yeah, exactly. But I think it was important to have something that we also keep in the same spirit of something something you discover. There's basically nothing in this series that there's not a new piece per se, but there's lots of works that people will know a little bit less, and they will rediscover or discover. It's interesting to discover something that's written like more than 100 years ago and say, "Wow, I didn't know about this. Oh, this is wonderful."
Yeah.
Or things that kind of are overlooked a little bit. For example, I don't know, Simple Symphony by Britten. People know the War Requiem or the operas, of course. But Simple Symphony, just a little thing. Actually, they come from piano pieces that he wrote when he was, 5
very,
years
very
old,
young.
So, like when you're talking about under 5, that's pretty much a genius. That's why one of the concerts is called
pretty much.
of Geniuses.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. But if you take Mendelssohn, who's probably the only other one that can really compare to Mozart for pure genius in classical music, when he was a kid, you put those three together, then you have an interesting program. And it's like Mozart is well surrounded by guests and not friends, because of course he didn't know them, but it's a well-rounded program there. And I think each of the program have a little something special. And again, I'm going to be very curious to see when people leave the concert if it's the same piece that that made them come to the concert. That when they leave, they will be humming leaving.
Right. Yeah.
If I could just jump in, one thing that's been very interesting in discussing these programs with Alain is he's always really been very interested in being able to explain the programs in a very succinct manner. So to be able to talk about why are we putting Britten and Mendelssohn and Mozart together, there is this idea of musical geniuses. And so in Alain's programs, I think you'll see that there's these kind of conceptual threads that are really easy to understand and really easy to explain, but that doesn't mean that they are not, conceptually complex. They're just that first explanation is an easy explanation, but then we really delve into it during those 2 hours.
Well, I can tell you, just looking at it for the very first time and seeing some of the concerts that are programmed here, and the music that is put together, juxtaposed against each other, it really pops out of the page, and I instantly think, yeah, well, that makes sense. Looking at that Simple Symphony, which is like Opus 4 of Britain, and, pairing that with the Scottish Symphony of Mendelssohn, which he wrote in his early 20s, after he was inspired by a trip through the British Isles, and then pairing that, of course, with Mozart. You could have chosen any of the violin concertos. You chose the last one, but they all date from his youth. Pretty much anything Mozart wrote dates from his youth. Putting all three of those together, it's an interesting program that jumps out right at you, right off the page. So it's exciting. I think it's exciting to see, Alain, what your hand at work here in this new season. Now, it is the 75th anniversary season, and you have a lot of wonderful guest artists coming in. Do you want to sort of give us a rundown of some of your favorites, Alain, that are going to be joining us?
Well, of course, there's one concert that is the celebration where we're bringing back one of the great friends of the orchestra, Andre Watts. And he's coming to play with us, of course, Greg. And this was very important because I sat down with my colleagues and I said, okay, who are the 2, 3, 4 people that have had a really long-standing relationship with the orchestra? Because if we do that kind of anniversary, it's important to, of course, celebrate us in the community, celebrate the but let's see who's been around and who's been coming in, for many times over the last few decades, and the new people that people have fallen in love with, and people I also want to bring in as we build new traditions together, and some people that I know that I want people to discover. So it's a nice mix of everything, but you have to pay very, very much attention to have a nice blend of all those things. Now, of course, I don't want to give too much away, but but I wanted to really bring back Augustin Delich for a very obvious reason. He was the soloist of the concert that I conducted also when I was named music director, and the orchestra really fell in love with him completely. It was the first time I had worked with him too. And and Merwin, you will probably agree with this. I mean, from the first bar he played, we were like all in awe and wow.
Absolutely.
Plays one note and you go like, okay, this is a real thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, I mentioned Andre Watts. I really want to introduce, as you might know, lyric repertoire and songs and opera are a very big part of what I love and what I do. I, of course, in dose, regular dose, not all season, but I want to bring something, and also from my side, the French repertoire a little bit, which is something I do a little bit more. So the program with La Mer will also feature Michel Lausier, who's one of the most sought after singers in Europe right now, but she's also from Quebec. But she will be wonderful. Le Poème de l'amour et de la mer from Chausson.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a discovery because it's not something that's played so often. I mean, it's not new music, but it's not played so often. I think that people will really be blown away by, the musicality that she has. I know that's really, really nice. Also, I think every year it's important to feature our own musicians from the orchestra, right? Yeah. So we have something that's very special this year, a tuba concerto in one of the programs. And it's an interesting program because it's all different colors of the orchestra and all different colors of playing. And you probably notice that every program has just one word. It could be love, it could be colors, it could be a celebration. So the program with colors is nice. We're going to have, of course, the colors. So we talk music of Stravinsky, like the Firebird. But we have this tuba concerto by Samuel Adler.
Yeah.
Who's one of the great American composers. And that's going to be a world premiere.
Samuel Adler, he's going to be 90 years old this year. And
you mean 90 years young?
90 years young, yeah. Amazing. I mean, really one of the, any composer that you talk to, and you mention Samuel Adler's name, they practically get down on the floor and, do the bows saying we're not worthy kind of thing. And every time that I see them interact with him, you see the same sense of reverence for Samuel Adler, really one of the living legends.
Well, it's exactly the same as if you say, in our concert, we're going to have a piece by Aaron Copland, he's going to be there, or we're going to have a piece by Shostakovich, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
So, it's not because it comes from where we are that it's not as important or is not as prestigious or as historical. So it's very important that we all celebrate this together. And I build a nice program around it so that it continues to talk about the different colors of the orchestra.
Well, we're running short on time, but we have a couple of other things that we want to get in before we leave it today, and that is, Alain, you are doing some work with the pop series this year, right? Tell us about your interactions there.
Well, absolutely. Well, as you know, I'm a trombone player. I don't only play the 4 notes that you hear on your show.
Don't poke the bear.
The 4th note is the kicker, right? So now I'm actually going to play in the pop series this coming season. I have a dear colleague. You talk about being a little younger. He's 88 years young, and his name is Gene Denovi. He's original bebop player who played with Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker. He was also the person that Duke Ellington offered the job of Billy Strayhorn when Billy Strayhorn passed away.
Wow.
So we're talking about a major, major talent. History of jazz in front of you. And he wrote this big symphonic suite for trombone and orchestra for me back in the day. That's a tribute to the big band leaders, So you have like Moonlight Serenade, you have Caravan, you have Bijou, all those pieces that he was very often part of. And we made a pop show of it. And so I'm very happy to get my trombone out and play in one of our pop series shows. There's also our family shows that are very important to us, and that's something that I'm also going to be part of. And I have a little show that I put together that's called "What's the Style?" and people have to find where they come from, what are the different styles, and when the orchestra plays a little bit of a mystery numbers, and then they have to figure out what it is. It's a lot of fun for small kids and big kids.
And the winner gets a pot of dark chocolate fondue, right?
Chocolate dipped bacon.
Yes. Ooh, let me write that down. Hang on. Okay.
I actually like that.
Well, I think it's great that you're getting out in front of the orchestra with your trombone as well. That's one of the things that I was wondering if we're going to see a lot of you as a performer. And I guess that question is answered, at least in the upcoming season. Well, that brings us to a close. That's about all the time that we have. And as always, you can find out more information about the upcoming 75th anniversary season by visiting the Toledo Symphony's website at toledosymphony.com. Toledo Symphony Lab is generously underwritten by a gift from the estate of Barbara Garwood and is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony. You can download episodes of this program as a podcast by going to our website. It's wgte.org/lab, or you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. My thanks to Alain Trudel, Merwin Siu, and Felicia Canny. I'm Brad Cresswell, and you've been listening to Toledo Symphony Lab here on FM 91.